Hi, everyone, I'm Dan Abrams, and this is Court Case.
Ready to take your place?
Yeah! I'll kill all you. I hope you die first as well.
First up, we're in Springfield, Massachusetts for an arraignment hearing. 30-year-old Jose Santiago has been charged with first-degree murder for allegedly stabbing his girlfriend to death on her 25th birthday. Santiago and the victim, a mother of 4, reportedly had an on-again, off-again relationship and were celebrating her birthday with a group of friends at a nightclub when they began arguing. Later that night, an intoxicated Santiago allegedly stabbed the victim more than 100 times inside her home. As Santiago is led into a courtroom with the victim's family members present, the only sound that can be heard is the click of cameras. Then suddenly, the silence is broken. Before Santiago reaches his seat, deputies intercept a man rushing towards him. While the officer's attention is on him, another man finds his way around the outside of the seating area and is able to get a punch in on Santiago before deputies wrestle him down and rush the defendant out into a hallway. As officials try to get control of the situation, the courtroom's clear. Assailants would later be identified as the victim's father and stepfather. Both men were charged with disrupting court and assault and battery of a court officer. The charges were eventually dropped. It would take 2 more years before Jose Santiago was ultimately found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Next, we go to a sentencing in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The defendant is 18-year-old Brendan Wazinski, who's charged with impersonating a sheriff's deputy. 6 months earlier, Wazinski was driving an unmarked car with a police siren when he pulled over a driver for speeding. Albuquerque police officer Danny Anzo came upon the scene and, thinking something off about the situation,
I know, I'm under-equipped.
Okay. Do you have an ID with you?
I mean, this is all I got. I mean, like I said, I'm under-equipped. I was just heading over there to the courthouse.
To the courthouse for what?
To get my crap.
Okay.
the wannabe cop sticks to his story.
I know, it makes no sense. I caught him going 120 down I-40.
The officer has Wazinski hang around while he checks on his story.
Hamilton LPD.
While he waits for a response, Anzo casually chats with Wazinski. One officer to sort of another.
And I'm not here to mess with you, man. It's just the thing is, yeah, he was speeding, dude. You could have called it in. And, because if you get into shooting, you're
right.
All right, man.
I understand.
Right.
This, for starters, I know this looks really bad.
Right.
This looks really bad. This screams whacker.
Right. How long have you been on?
About 3 years.
I've been on for like 13 years. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but you need to be a little bit more careful, all right?
Yes, sir.
So just do me a favor, hang tight for a second, okay?
Yes, sir.
It sounds like the officer might be letting him go. Not so fast. Anzo requests a supervisor from the Bernalillo Sheriff's Office to come down to the scene. In the meantime, he puts Wazinski in the back of his cruiser.
Do you have anything on you, man? Any weapons or anything? Okay, that's fine. Just have a seat, all right? All right.
It looks like this bizarre game of good cop, fake cop may be coming to an end. So Wazinski comes clean.
Can we talk real quick?
Yeah, give me 1 second. What's up, man?
Alright. I'm just gonna be straight up honest with you. I'm not a cop.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just gonna be.
Where'd you get that badge from?
I bought it offline.
Do me a favor, stay in here, okay? For a second.
After discussing the strange situation with his sergeant, Anzo makes the next move.
Back in my card. Hey, Brandon, step out of the vehicle for a second, man. Can you face the vehicle? At this point right now, you are being under arrest. Understand?
Before heading downtown, Wazinski sheds a few tears in the back seat.
So I need you to lean back a little bit. Thank you.
Please help my wife.
I'll give you, when we get to the substation, we'll give you a call. Okay?
Wazinski's formerly charged.
Yeah, buddy. Can't be pretending to be a cop.
Yeah, I know, I'm stupid.
Lesson learned, right?
As they head downtown, the reality of the situation kicks in for this counterfeit cop.
It's one hell of a thought to know that in about 2 minutes I f***ed my life pretty damn good.
Now, as he stands before a very real judge, instead of fighting the charge, Wazinski pleads no contest. He's sentenced to 1 year of probation. The judge also rules he can't carry any firearms or handcuffs and must undergo a psychiatric evaluation.
Because I do not want any kind of reoffense of this kind of case. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
But this sham sheriff story doesn't end there. Wazinski violates his probation by failing to get that psych evaluation. But he gets a break when the judge gives him an extra 2 weeks to complete the evaluation. When told of his extension, Wazinski presses his luck.
I can try the best I can, Your Honor. I mean, I have honestly a lot going on right now, and it's stressful. I will try my hardest to get it done.
Okay, so just to let you know, we all have a lot going on. It is very stressful for everyone, but this is very important, and I'm not going to give you longer than that.
Wazinski did eventually complete his evaluation and was able to avoid jail time. And hopefully his days of impersonating an officer are over.
This looks really bad. This screams whacker.
As for the driver Wazinski pulled over, he was, of course, free to go. Next, we head to Oklahoma City for the trial of Daniel Holtzclaw. The former police officer is charged with 36 counts of rape, sodomy, battery, and a number of other charges. Over a dozen women accused Holtzclaw of sexual assault, committed mostly during traffic stops in poorer neighborhoods around Oklahoma City. The accusers typically had minor offenses on their records. Investigators first questioned Holtzclaw after Janie Liggins, a 58-year-old grandmother, claimed the officer forced her to perform oral sex during a traffic stop. Holtzclaw denied any sexual misconduct.
You never saw her pull her pants down.
No, I didn't.
Why do you think she's making this up?
I don't know.
Surveillance footage obtained by investigators showed Liggins in the officer's vehicle for over 10 minutes. Holtzclaw denied any sexual misconduct.
Do you recall putting your penis in her mouth?
I don't.
Would you recall that?
Talking, and held firm to his story.
We can fall on the sword
Okay.
and say I screwed up or something. But if we say we didn't do it, and then the DNA comes back and says he did it, then we have a huge problem.
Right. Sir, I'm sticking with my story.
Okay.
Things get worse for Holtzclaw when the officers mention a second alleged victim.
Let's switch up for a second. Yet another girl. Okay? You probably not necessarily going to remember the name, but her name is... Okay? Black female. She's claiming the same thing. The exact same thing.
But again, Holtzclaw sticks to his story.
I'm a good officer. I don't... That's not me. Stop it.
When more women came forward with similar claims, Holtzclaw was fired from the Oklahoma City Police Department. And after a victim's DNA was found on Holtzclaw's clothing, he was officially booked. He pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Henderson presiding.
During the month-long trial, Holtzclaw chose not to testify. Several of his accusers did, including Liggins. After 4 days of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict.
Has this jury reached a verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, would you hand your verdict forms to my bailiff, please?
Holtzclaw fidgets nervously as Judge Henderson quietly reads the 36 counts before him. If found guilty, the 29-year-old could spend the rest of his life in prison.
Verdict, count 1, sexual battery. We, the jury, impaneled and sworn in the above entitled cause, do upon our oaths find as follows. Defendant is guilty of the crime of sexual battery and set punishment of 8 years. Count 4, procuring lewd exhibition. Defendant is guilty. Count 8, defendant is guilty of the crime of forcible oral sodomy.
Of the 36 charges, Holtzclaw was found guilty of 18, including the most serious.
Count 11, rape in the first degree. Defendant is guilty.
With each guilty verdict, the one-time college linebacker appeared to sink deeper into his chair.
Guilty, guilty, guilty.
In total, Holtzclaw was convicted on 5 counts of rape and sentenced to 263 years in prison. He appealed the ruling, but the verdict and sentence were upheld. Next, we're at the Huntington Convention Center, moved some of its hearings to alleviate crowding at the courthouse. On the docket today is a triple homicide case that drew national attention because of the alleged killer's family ties. 26-year-old Tevin Biles Thomas is the older brother of 4-time Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles. He was charged with a long list of crimes including murder, felonious assault, and perjury following a shooting that left 3 men dead. This police camera footage shows the moment officers responded to the call of shots fired during a New Year's Eve party.
Stick to the right, boys.
Inside one room, 2 men are found dead from gunshot wounds. And on a stairway below,
Sir!
another clinging to life.
He's shot. I don't know. There's blood everywhere.
The man would later die at the hospital. In the days that followed, Tevin Biles Thomas was arrested and charged based on the accounts of 2 eyewitnesses who claimed he was the shooter. The initial prosecution of Biles Thomas ended in a mistrial when jurors were mistakenly given legal briefs containing sensitive information. Now at a second trial, with victims' family members sitting in a makeshift gallery, his attorneys filed a motion to dismiss due to a lack of evidence. The defense cited that neither eyewitness actually saw Biles Thomas fire a weapon. One was only 75% sure he was the shooter based on the clothing he was wearing at the time.
In viewing the evidence in the light most favorable to the state, it is insufficient to sustain a conviction. The motion is granted as to all counts.
With the charges dismissed, Biles Thomas will walk out a free man if he makes it out of the hearing. After the judge dismisses the case,
The motion is granted as to all counts.
the mother of one of the victims makes a rush towards the defendant. Several officers intercept the distraught mom and wrestle her toward the exit. After derailing her attack, officers steady the woman as she begins to cry. She's eventually escorted out of the court area. But she's not the only person upset with the outcome of the case.
Come on, sir. You killed my sir. Come on.
One of the victim's uncles also calls out Biles Thomas as he's escorted out of the court area.
You a hoe, man. Come on. I swear to God, man.
Sir, don't make no move. Come on, leave it. Just leave it. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Tevin Biles Thomas walked out of court a free man with all charges against him dismissed. The victim's mother was not charged.
I'm gonna kill you.
It's my death sentence today.
Next, we head to Union County, Ohio for the verdict in the trial of 49-year-old Anthony Redding. He's charged with 1 count of felonious assault. Redding allegedly punched his girlfriend in the face. The blow was so vicious, it resulted in her losing an eye. He claimed it was self-defense, pleaded not guilty. This is potentially Redding's 3rd conviction for assault. If found guilty, he could be looking at 18 years in prison.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. The court is informed that you have reached a verdict. Is that correct?
This jury finds the defendant, Anthony Wayne Redding, is guilty of the charge of felonious assault.
While the jury heads home, Redding prepares to learn the terms of his sentence.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a good day. Thank you once again.
Please rise.
Judge Donald Fraser hasn't even started reading the sentence. Redding is already fired up.
That's what I got. Satan.
A deputy approaches to calm Redding down, but he's got something he wants to get off his chest.
Right.
Sentencing to go through.
Before he goes any further, the judge steps in.
No reason for you to be acting this way.
Come on, let's go.
I think it's appropriate that the deputies put you in restraints before the court imposes sentence.
Give me 18. Get. Please, Marsh. And my dad. Satan.
The judge first allows the prosecutor to make a statement.
The state believes that his conduct, dating back to at least 2008, warrants the most strict and stringent sentence available.
Shut the up. Piece of Come on, give me 18.
The judge asks Redding if he has anything to say.
It's not good. I did not intentionally hit and this will be ruination of my life. If you want to stick me in, there's no sense in living. That's all I can say. You can go ahead and do what you want.
Finally, it's Judge Fraser's turn to announce his decision.
All right. Well, the court finds that there's no genuine remorse shown here. The court further finds that a maximum sentence is warranted. Total prison sentence imposed is 18 years.
Redding receives 18 years in a state prison, won't be eligible for release until 2037. And he'll be 68 years old.
That's the order of the court. Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Court Cam. I'm Dan Abrams. Thanks for watching.